I know what you're probably thinking right now. How does anime relate with self-improvement? Now, before we get into the video, we might get into deep anime territory, and if anime is something you completely and utterly detest, I would advise that you watch another self-improvement video. Like, I have some really hardcore self-improvement videos that you might actually enjoy. But if you think you have the stomach for it and you're ready to open your eyes to see what you might be missing, I would advise you watch to the end of the video. And if you're already accustomed to the ways of anime, arigato for clicking the video. Now let's get into the video. Now, anime has had a really bad rep over the years. Some people say it's an utter waste of time to be watching anime. Some people say only perverts watch it. And I have literally heard someone tell me that watching anime is killing my brain cells. Like, who says that to a person? Ouch. But what most people fail to understand is that anime is actually packed with a lot of wisdom that if your eyes aren't trained to pick it up, it might just look like some Japanese cartoon with a lot of shouting and some really cool moves in it. One of the insights that I've gotten from anime is the power of self-belief. And I got this insight from none other than the anime One Piece. Now, if you watch One Piece, you will notice that Luffy has this tendency to show utter disregard for his opposition or his opponent. And he always has this deep sense of belief that he's gonna defeat his opponents. Even after they really give him the beating of his life, he actually always has this belief that he's gonna defeat his opponent, and actually he eventually ends up defeating his enemies. I know you may look at this and say, oh, that's a cartoon, of course it's meant to happen, he's the protagonist. But when you really think about this, right, most of us, when we are faced with seemingly difficult circumstances, we can easily cower in fear and back down in the face of that challenge. But when we take a look back at history, we notice that people who actually had this die-hard sense of self-belief actually ended up overcoming seemingly insurmountable situations. Now, take for example Gandhi when he was fighting for the independence of India. Now, this guy literally got independence without violence. Like, how is that possible? If Gandhi didn't pull that off, I wouldn't have thought it would have been possible. But he did, because of a really high level of belief. And another example is Nelson Mandela. Now, this guy was in gut-wrenching apartheid, ended up being locked up for 25 years in prison. He eventually ended up becoming the president of South Africa, and the rest is history. Or even take a look at Jeff Bezos, who built one of the most valuable companies that we have today when everyone thought the internet was a fad. And I love this quote from Steve Jobs, which goes like this: the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Now, another insight I got from anime is the insight of humility. Now, I got this insight from no other anime than One Punch Man. Now, if you've watched One Punch Man before, now Saitama is actually the strongest character in that entire anime universe. And as the name indicates, One Punch Man, he can literally level cities with just one punch. Like, I'm not kidding. He can actually do that. But when you watch the anime and you look at Saitama for face value, he actually looks like a really normal dude. Like, he even looks weak. But as you continue watching the anime, it's actually those characters that make the loudest noise and with the coolest gadgets that actually turn out to be the weakest characters. And that made me to really understand that looks do not indicate competence. It's better to actually really be a part than to look a part and be a colossal flop. And I love this quote from Plato, which goes like this: an empty vessel makes the loudest sound, so they that have the least wit are the greatest babblers. Now that's some deep stuff right there. Now, another insight I got from anime is the power of getting back up even after you have fallen down. And no other anime encapsulates this whole idea than Naruto. Now, if you're into Naruto Shippuden, you'll notice that no matter how hard Naruto is beaten, really beaten up, really dealt with, he always gets back up. And he doesn't just get back up, he gets back up hard. And that's the same thing with life, actually. Most times, things may not really go as we plan. Life may really throw us some really crazy curveballs, but our abilities to actually get back up in the face of disappointments and in the face of setbacks is actually going to be a huge determinant to how far we actually go in life. Because life happens, and things happen, situations change, and wars happen. Another insight that I learned from anime is the ability to turn crap into sugar. And this insight was gotten from no other anime than Dr. Stone. Now, if you've watched Dr. Stone, the world literally ended, and they literally had to start the world from scratch. This guy was literally building civilization back to the modern age using caveman tools. And the really cool part of this anime is that it's actually one of the most realistic animes that I've actually watched in a while, actually. Because most of the scientific facts that they actually state in that anime, and some of the facts that I actually did my own research on, actually checked out. And what I admire about Dr. Stone is that his ability to turn things that we may deem as garbage into something really valuable. And this insight can actually be applied to our day-to-day lives. We might be sitting on gold mines, but because of our lack of knowledge, they will end up looking like garbage to us. Because this anime really highlighted the importance of knowledge. Because Dr. Stone's ability to actually turn crap into sugar was predicated on the fact that he was a scientist and he knew a lot of things to actually turn crap into sugar. And that's the same way we may actually be sitting on things that are literally gold mines. Like let's take for example, if I got like the new MacBook Pro or something, and the only thing I'm able to use it for is to watch movies and Netflix. Now that is me basically sitting on a device that has the ability to process like mega amounts of data, and I'm just using it for what an average television can do. And actually, because of my lack of knowledge of, let's say, coding, or my lack of knowledge in data processing, or my lack of knowledge in visual editing, like I am not able to fully utilize that gold mine that I'm sitting on. And forgive me for lack of a better word, but I'm basically just using it for like garbage. I like this quote from Derek Buck, which says, "If you think education is expensive, try ignorance." Now I know anime may be over the top sometimes. I mean, you may see people jumping off buildings, people breathing out fire from their mouths, people doing some weird hand signs and like magical things come out. But we can both agree on one thing. Like with most forms of consumable media, when it has a great story, you are bound to learn something. But the tricky part is finding one with the right story. And guys, question of the day, if you think the fight with Pain is the greatest fight of all time in the Naruto Shippuden series, please put it down on the comments below. And if you think there are fights more epic than that, you can also put it down in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts on it. And guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you like some content, please subscribe. And remember to always keep it real.